Both hockey and basketball teams are entering their playoff tournaments looking for victory, while spring sports have begun back in Hamden with mixed results. All this and more on this week's episode of Bobcat Breakdown, starting right now. Welcome to Studio 125 for this week's episode of Bobcat Breakdown. I'm your host, Mason Glod, jumping from the Q30 Entertainment Department to talk sports. Tonight, I'm joined by our two great analysts, Aiden Barrett and Rob Lyon. How are we feeling tonight, guys?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm ready to talk some spring sports. Rob, how about you?
Well, I'm ready as well. First time on the desk, and let's rock and roll.
Excited to see what you guys have for us tonight. To start, the Quinnipiac women's ice hockey team has had an impressive season with a 25-9-3 record. However, this past weekend, the team lost to Colgate in the ECAC hockey semifinals, letting up 2 goals in the third period to lose their early lead. What do the Bobcats need to do to close their games as strong as they start them? Aiden?
Well, it's obvious. Quinnipiac's a top team in this conference. Statistically, standings, even the eye test, it just shows. They played Colgate, another top team in the conference. Didn't do as well in that third period, lost. Corrine Schroeder played really well. And that's kind of where I'm going to go with this because she's that good. I'm not even going to go to a specific part of their game. I'm going to go to a player. A .950 save percentage, that ranks third in the nation. 142 goals against per game, 6th. And the team's only given up 55 goals all year, 4th in the nation. There's 10 other teams in this tournament. 7 of the 10 have scored more goals. How do you beat them? Don't let up the goals, because you can't stick with them offensively. Quinnipiac's offense, very good. Yes, they have good players. They're not better, though. Corrine Schroeder, they'll go as far as she goes. She will take this team as far as she can go.
Yes, I would have to agree with you on that one, Aiden, too. And the thing that the Bobcats are really struggling the most here, they gotta stop the penalties, you know? Like, it's the one thing that's killing them from, having a close game like that. Because, as you could see right there, they've given up 114 goals. And some of the things that they have struggling right now is keeping the puck in their zone. Because as long as they keep the puck in the zone, they really need to, do better job on the power plays and the face-offs. And with that, I'm going to have to say you can't always rely on the goalies such as Corrine Schroeder and Logan Angers. You have to have every team stepping up at the right moment if you want to move forward heading into the NCAA tournament against Syracuse.
Yeah, Rob, I agree with you there. You said keep the puck in the zone. They have enough dynamic players who can get it done and score goals and make plays, so that's a really good point you made right there. Get the puck into the zone, let the players, some of these star players, Mobley, Peart, work their way around, even Agia coming back, having a good year this year. So good point there, Rob.
Yeah, for sure indeed, Aiden.
Loving the debate, guys. Sticking with this team, sophomore Olivia Mobley has been a key player for the Bobcats in this latter half of the season, with 4 goals and 9 points in the last 5 games. Can Olivia Mobley keep up her hot streak heading into the NCAA tournament?
Well, Mason, I'm going to take this one from here. In my personal opinion, Olivia Mobley has been outstanding so far. To me personally, she's like the team's MVP all season long. She comes up in clutch moments like there in the Colgate playoffs in New Haven. And plus, she's had a ton of goals in the last 3 playoff games that she's been in. She's had 17 goals in the season, 14 assists, 156 shots, and alongside her fellow teammate Sadie Peart, she has 31 points. Both Peart and Mobley have had a tally of 31 points to lead this Bobcat team. And with that, I feel like she's going to continue that hot streak when the Bobcats play Syracuse this Thursday, and it's going to be interesting to see where Mobley takes place in her zone.
Yeah, no, I'd be really confused why you would answer no here. I mean, she kind of has to, and she's kind of done her whole life. Even in high school, she was a top prospect coming into Quinnipiac, and she just kept scoring. I mean, her first year started a little slow. This year, leads the team in goals, leads the team in points. She's her most dynamic player. It's not really that close. There's some really good other players on this team, but she's another one with Corrine Schroeder. Let's just call it what it is. She's a game breaker, right?
Yeah, exactly.
She can change the game. She's that good. She's somebody who's going to have to go, and if she doesn't go, Quinnipiac's going to really struggle. So Quinnipiac's going to need her because as you saw, some of these teams better offensively. They're going to need to get their best Olivia Mobley, and I don't see why she won't because she's done her whole life. She's been at the biggest stage, and she's done a really good job of that. So I see it continuing too.
Nice.
Well, guys, the NCAA tournament starts this Thursday as the Bobcats head to Columbus, Ohio. Rob, how far do you think this team will go in the tournament?
Well, to answer your question there, Mason, I personally think this Thursday they're going to beat Syracuse. And it's going to be a tough challenge, too, because if they beat Syracuse, they're going to now have to go up against the number one team in the nation, and that's Ohio State, in which, by the way, they are facing a familiar face from a former Bobcat in Kenzie Hawksworth in Ohio. And let me tell you this, I like a good underdog story. And let me tell you this right now, Aiden, and you might go wrong with me on this one. I personally think this Bobcat team has a chance to even go all the way. With everything that they've been surprising people of their expectations, it's always a feel-good story at the end with the underdog team. You know? It's like, am I wrong?
No. I agree with you. I see them getting past Syracuse. I think this is at least a top Frozen Four team. I see them getting to at least there. The team's deep. They score timely goals. And you know what they do? They score timely goals. Their big players score the timely goals. Both the top goal scorers on this team, in Sadie Peart and Olivia Mobley, they lead the team in game-winning goals. So it looks like a really good team, a team that can contend. Everything that says about this team statistically, watching the team, it says good team, Frozen Four type team. And if they keep getting the contributions from these top players, they should be able to get to the Frozen Four. Good defense, veteran leadership, should be a good team, and they should get to the Frozen Four. I mean, we've seen it all season, as you said. They may have shocked some teams how good they actually are, but they are that good. We're here. It's March. They're still that good. I'd say at least a Frozen Four appearance, maybe even a little bit farther.
Anything can happen.
Thanks, guys, and let's switch to the men's team. Quinnipiac enters the ECAC hockey tournament following a strong season, but with a record of 3-3 in the last 6 games. What are your predictions for Friday's game against St. Lawrence?
Quinnipiac win. It's Quinnipiac win. They outscored them 11-1 during the regular season, and yes, we remember the ECAC championship last year when Quinnipiac was supposed to win and go and win there pretty easily. They lost in overtime. And the game was close. It shouldn't have even been close. It should have been that 8-0 score that Quinnipiac did back early on in the season. Later on, they played them again. They beat them 3-1. Still multi-goals. They beat them by. Quinnipiac, they're a deep team. They're the better team, more depth, better star power, more veteran leadership. 13 seniors on this team, Rob. 2 of them have a national championship. Head coach, spent there 28 years now. I feel really good about Quinnipiac going into this series. Even if it gets to a Game 3, I think that the veteran leadership is going to really help this Bobcats team in a Game 3, and I don't think that St. Lawrence can really keep up with this team if Quinnipiac is playing their best style of hockey. We know, as Mason just alluded to, they're 3-3 in their last 6. Not a great record for a top team like Quinnipiac.
No good record
but
whatsoever.
If they can get to that point where they were in the beginning of the season, getting the top scoring from players that, Smolanic and Bon Giovanni, this is the bad part to the end of the season. Here's where you make up for it. We talk about in professional sports. You make the money in the playoffs. We see it every year. Playoff performers get good money.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's where it is. Smolanic, Bon Giovanni, make up for the maybe not so great second half, throw it out, put up points in the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure there. And my predictions, too, for this is that I think Quinnipiac is just going to sweep the series. It's just going to be 2 games. And for the scores, I'm going to have to go with 3-2 Bobcats in the first game, And for the second game on Saturday, Quinnipiac's going to move on, and they're going to win it 4-0. And, hey, they've beaten St. Lawrence twice. And they've had the experience in the playoffs. They defeated them twice. And, of course, they've outscored them in almost every play possible. And I cannot really see the Saints beating the Bobcats this weekend.
Yeah, it'd be tough because they got to do it twice. And, one time would be tough, and 2 times, it's 2 times harder.
Yeah, and it's possible to do it the third time.
Loving the insight, but unfortunately it's time for our first break of the night. Stay tuned because when we come back, the analysts will discuss both men's and women's basketball and spring sports.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a unique mix of all kinds of things.
Come on, Jules, spot on this last one. There it is. Keep going with it. Leo.
They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love.
I don't think that many kids in my son's school even do it.
He makes fun of his friend who vapes.
He would never try it.
She's into soccer.
She's on the honor roll.
She's just not the type.
No way.
No way.
No way.
No way, my kid would never vape.
Get your head out of the cloud. Today, nearly 8,000 kids will start vaping. Maybe even yours. Learn about the dangers at talkaboutvaping.org.
Honey, what I think you need is a socket wrench.
I played JV basketball.
I'm sorry. I don't think it looks right.
This is good, and it's all good, baby.
Is it really all good?
If you love me enough to routinely test your handyman skills, not to mention the strength of your marriage, then of course you'll visit nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat to make sure I'm in the right car seat.
I'm gonna call my dad.
I know what you're thinking. I need a job.
I need a new career.
Well, I've been there.
I've been there.
I've been there. I wasn't happy with what I was doing.
After high school, I didn't have a plan.
I just wanted to start working.
I got laid off twice, but you gotta keep going.
You just need the right skills. Find an apprenticeship.
I found a 2-year IT program.
I found a medical course online.
I'm now a consultant in the tech space.
You have more options than you think. You can do this.
You will find something.
You will find something new.
Welcome back. Let's head over to the opposite side of the People's United Center. The Quinnipiac men's basketball team is heading into the MAC tournament coming off a 6-game losing streak. What do senior players Kevin Marfo and Jacob Rigoni need to do to ensure that their next game is not their last?
Well, Mason, I'm going to take this one from here. And Aiden, I'm going to just say this too. This could possibly be like the last time we see Kevin Marfo and Jacob Rigoni in a Quinnipiac uniform even be possibly playing their last game, because the team has been struggling both offensively and defensively too in the last 6 games, because Marfo hasn't dropped over 15 points since February the 13th, and some of the things that he needs to do right now, he's got to be better on the offense, and he can't just rely on all the rebounds, in which he's doing pretty good so far. But the only thing that's keeping the Bobcats right now is their ability to make rebounds and block shots all the time. And for Rigoni's standpoint, he needs to do better on the rebounds, because it's really killing him in the long run. And it's been a struggling month for him in the month of February too, to be honest with you. And he can't just rely on making the 3-point shots. He's got to pass it to some of his other teammates out there. And this team has just really been struggling offensively and defensively for the past 6 games, and I don't really know what to say about that. Aiden?
Yeah, no, Rigoni, Marfo, 2 of the better players on this team, if not the 2 best players. That's what they have to be. They have to be the better players on this team. If the Quinnipiac wants to go far in this tournament, they have to play well, and if they don't play well, as you said, they'll be in trouble. But as you also said, they're going to need guys around them to also step up, because on a 6-game losing streak, you can't just put it on 2 people. There's a lot of things going wrong. A lot of things are going wrong right now for Quinnipiac's basketball, and they're going to need more from some of these other players around Marfo and Rigoni, but they're also going to need Rigoni and Marfo to step up and be those 2 players that can lead, because as you said, it might be their last game in a Bobcat uniform. That means that they're veterans. They got to play veterans and a really good style of basketball if they want to win and keep going on in this tournament, which they can do, because it's really tight in the MAC standings right now, basketball-wise. So that's my little spiel.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see.
Well, Marfo and Rigoni's team is heading to Atlantic City with a 12-6 record. Aiden, what are your predictions for their first game against Marist, happening right now?
Well, game one, they played each other. Quinnipiac won 94-87. Next game, Quinnipiac lost 67-66. It's about as close as you can get, right? 1 point game.
Yeah, it's not even that close, too. It's only 1 point.
Yeah, it's about as close as you can get. 6-7, 66. Same recipe as last time. Got to keep the game close. These teams aren't super far in terms of talent and in the standings. They're really not. They're right there and there. I know it's 11 and 6 seeds, and they're maybe a little bit separate in the standings. It's not that far off. I mean, we've seen it's obvious. A total of 8 points, actually 7, because Quinnipiac won the first time. These teams are, Quinnipiac's capable of beating Marist, and Marist is capable of beating Quinnipiac as well. They've both done it. But Quinnipiac's got, I think, a good shot at winning this. They're capable of winning it if, we said earlier in that last segment, if Marfo, Rigoni, and these other guys can step up, play well.
Well, Aiden, I'm going to take a little bit of a different route here. I personally don't think, with the way they've been playing the last 6 games of the regular season right there, I just don't see them beating Marist at this time, because they've basically been struggling offensively and defensively. Sure, they had a close game back on February the 20th by 1 point, 67-66. And to me personally, I just don't see the Bobcats getting all the way. I mean, sure, there are certain players that have their moment to shine, right? Like we talked about Marfo and Rigoni. But you also got to have like other guys too. Ty Machinery, Brendan McGuire, and maybe even Louis Courtright a little bit. But the thing is, the key losses to this team, such as Savion Lewis and Tyrese Williams, it's going to be a huge blow for the Bobcats. And I just don't see them getting past the first round either. I just think it's one and done.
Yeah, no, I think either team is. I think it's going to be a coin flip. Honestly, as we've seen the past 2 games, it really was kind of a coin flip between the two, especially last game, a 1-point game. So yeah, I agree. Maybe they can pass the first round, maybe they don't, but it should be a close game either way.
Close one.
Switching over to the women's basketball, senior player Mackenzie DeWeese has been the standout player this season with 398 points. Has she done enough to win MAC Player of the Year again? Rob, let's start with you.
Well, Mason, to answer that question to you, Mackenzie DeWeese has basically been playing like an MVP caliber player her entire Bobcat career right here, because she's going to be like an unstoppable threat for opposing opponents right now. Because in the tournament right now, opponents are going to have trouble with her points. She's literally averaging 31.7 points per game. She has over 88 assists and 101 steals, which she is definitely known for stealing the ball away. Don't get me wrong on that. And I just really see a lot of the opposing teams having a difficult time against. And like we saw earlier today, the St. Peter's Peacocks right now are going to be playing Quinnipiac tomorrow. And I feel like they're going to have a tough time guarding DeWeese right now because, you know, DeWeese has all the MVP calibers, and she's definitely going to basically make a run through it in the tournament.
Yeah, no, DeWeese has had a great season, obviously. I just don't think she's done enough yet to win the MVP again. She's 7th in points per game in the conference, just over 14 points per game. But Lou Lopez Benchel, it averages over 19. Fairfield, she plays for Fairfield. They've lost 1 game this year. Quinnipiac has lost 6. So, I mean, you look at that, it's maybe a little bit more important to helping Fairfield win games as they're 19-1, Quinnipiac's 14-6. DeWeese has 398 points. 6 players have 400 plus. 2 of them have over 500 points. It just seems that they're more impactful players in the MAC to help or give themselves a better shot at winning that MVP trophy because they do maybe a little bit more. Not to say that DeWeese hasn't done a lot. I mean, they are 3rd in the conference for a reason, and she's probably, I think we can agree, she's their best player, right? So she's done a good amount, and she's done a lot for this Quinnipiac Bobcat team, but not enough as some of those other players, and it's going to be really tough to kind of beat out some of these other players who maybe just a little bit more, have done a little bit more this season. But all in all, a great season, though, for Mackenzie DeWeese.
This Bobcats team plays their first game in Atlantic City tomorrow. So guys, what are your thoughts and your predictions for their performance in this tournament?
Well, Aiden, I'm going to take it from here. I'm going to say Quinnipiac, they're going to beat St. Peter's. And I wouldn't even be surprised if they go all the way moving forward in the tournament, too. And some of the predictions that I'm going to say here, and some of the major predictions that I'm going to say here, is that they have like a lot of teams right now. going to be Manhattan and Fairfield, and it's going to be an intense matchup moving forward.
Yeah, no, Quinnipiac ranks third in the conference at 14-6, so obviously they are a top team in this conference. Let's just, because we're asking if they can win win the whole thing. Let's just look at some of the other top teams in the conference in the MAC. Quinnipiac, Fairfield, lost to number 1 Fairfield in 2 games by combined 9 points. Not many points. Second game, they went all the way to overtime. They still lost, but went all the way to overtime. First game to Manhattan, down 2, heading into the 4th. They lost the game 66-62. Another really close game. And then they beat number 2 ranked Manhattan, and they won it in overtime. So it's obvious that Quinnipiac can stick with these top teams in the conference. And if they can stick with the top teams in the conference, there's no reason to not think that they can't go all the way. As you just said, they're going to beat. You think they're going to beat St. Peter's? I would have to agree with you on that. I like them as well to win this conference or give it a really good shot, and should be interesting to see what they can do in it.
Yeah, anything can happen.
Spring sports have officially begun, and the women's lacrosse team has started the season 3-1, their best start under head coach Tanya Kotowitz. Aiden, could this be the year that the Bobcats make a strong run at the MAC?
Yeah, I think it does. The team never really feels out of it. I mean, we saw last weekend or the weekend before, they were down 11-4. They came back to tie it, but they didn't win the game. I mean, it's tough to come back from a game when you're down by 7 points. Now, this weekend was a bit of a different feel to the game. They were up 11-7, and they blew the lead halfway into the 4th quarter, and then it really felt like, you know what, you had to really test this team's adversity and resiliency, because now they're in the exact opposite position. They had the lead, and now they got to come back and get the lead, which they did, and they shut down the fort for the final 8 minutes. They had allowed no goals after letting up 4 goals inside of the first half of that 4th quarter. So this Quinnipiac team, they feel good to me. I like them to be a really good contender in this conference. Whether they can win it all or not, it's too early to tell, too small of a sample size, but at 3-1, you can't not say that they're not a top team in this conference.
Yeah, Aiden, I would have to agree with you on this one. I mean, yeah, they have a great start so far to the season with a 3-1 record. And from where you saw where they ended last year, this team went 5-7 last year, and they were still lucky enough to make the MAC tournament, but they were quickly eliminated by Niagara in the first round. But overall, I could see like this team improving, as the games move on, because obviously it was a shortened season last year because of the pandemic. And I personally think that, this team is going to improve over time because you got more games getting played. And you even have a lot of great talented players on the team right now. And you have the leaderships of the goalie, Kat Helsender, and Desiree Kleberg. And those two right there will get the team back in the playoffs.
Yeah, no, just one more quick thing before we go. 3 players have 6 or more goals so far in this season. So, yeah, as you said, this team is very talented, very skilled. So I agree with you. They should be a real player in this conference.
It's time for our last break of the night, but don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we have QBSN Game of the Week and Final Roars.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made home ownership happen. Homeschooling yourself on loans, beefing up your credit score.
So I'm pre-approved.
You were like, yes! Sorry. Color coding listings, ticking boxes, and flushing every toilet in a 20-mile radius. Home sweet home. You aced house hunting. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
Meet the Scan, a simple procedure whose mission is to detect lung cancer early.
I'm here to save you.
But I feel fine.
That's great, but you may still be at high risk for lung cancer.
Oh man, that's a new fence.
If you smoke, early detection could save your life. Learn more at savedbythescan.org.
I think it's just vapor with flavor.
It won't hurt my kid like cigarettes, right?
Vaping is safer than smoking, isn't it?
There's really not even that much nicotine in them, right?
My kid?
My kid knows it's dangerous.
Get your head out of the cloud. Today, nearly 8,000 kids will start vaping, maybe even yours. Learn about the dangers at talkaboutvaping.org.
Type 2 diabetes can have a big impact on your life, but how can it be prevented? Well, the first step is knowing if you have prediabetes, a serious medical condition that puts you at high risk for type 2 diabetes. 1 in 3 American adults has prediabetes, but more than 80% don't know they have it. The good news is, prediabetes can be reversed, and for many people, healthy changes in their daily routine can make a big difference. Take the 1-minute risk test today at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Thanks for sticking with us. It's time for the QBSN Game of the Week. This week's Game of the Week is the Quinnipiac women's ice hockey semifinal against Colgate. While the Bobcats couldn't quite clinch victory with a 3-2 loss, the team demonstrated their determination and skill built up throughout the season, still providing an impressive performance. Sophomore Olivia Mobley continues to impress with 1 goal and 1 assist in this game, her 6th multi-point game of the season. The Bobcats fought hard and passionately throughout the game, with the team winning almost 60% of faceoffs and goalie Corinne Schroeder having 38 saves. The Bobcats hope to bring this passion to Ohio later this week. Now it's time for Final Roars. Aiden, let's start with you.
Quinnipiac men's ice hockey will play St. Lawrence in a best-of-3 series to decide who gets to go to Lake Placid for the ECAC hockey semifinals. If Quinnipiac takes care of business in the ECAC, they will go into the NCAA tournament representing their conference, which they have so many times before. The Bobcats finished the season 28-5-3. Although not finishing the season the way that they started, and some question marks going into the playoffs, the team still sits in a very good position. They have a deep offense that needs to be shown now more than ever, with some of their top guys in some big slumps. A top defenseman in the nation, and statistically the best goalie tandem in the nation. Going into this season, the hopes were high for the Bobcats, now flying a little bit more under the radar. That's maybe just where they like it.
There is only one word to describe the Quinnipiac women's ice hockey team's success this season: phenomenal. I say that not because they exceeded expectations this season, but I say this because they are a team who is willing to go out on the ice and play from the beginning to the end of every game each night. With strong performances from players like Olivia Mobley and Sadie Peart, to veteran leadership of Corinne Schroeder, Lexia Gia, and Taylor House, this team, in my opinion, is going to go all the way in the tournament. And trust me when I say this, it's time for the Bobcats to shock the nation in the NCAA tournament.
The Quinnipiac women's basketball team have had an admirable season with a 9-10 record, even going 11-3 at home. While the whole roster led by Coach Tricia Fabry can and should be thanked for their performance, I believe special attention needs to be put on Mackenzie DeWeese. DeWeese has had a phenomenal season with almost 400 points, 900 minutes played, and 100 steals. However, I believe her sportsmanship should be most admired. In Saturday's game against Ryder, DeWeese went into the fourth quarter with 994 career points, 6 away from the legendary 1,000. Much to the surprise of fans, DeWeese chose to pass the ball to her teammates instead of attempting to earn the points herself. She understood the importance of the team's success over hers. DeWeese always presents herself with poise in interviews and frequently compliments both her coaching staff and teammates. I am proud to have DeWeese represent my school. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for tonight. To stay up to date on all of our content and all things Quinnipiac sports, be sure to check out our website at q30tv.com. Also, follow us on Twitter at Q30Sports. From the producers, everyone behind the scenes, to my analysts Aiden and Rob, and myself, your host, Mason Glod, we thank you for watching. See you next time.